everybody, it's Pupmeister, and today we are going to be looking at Minecraft colors. We're going to be looking at every single one of the colors and how you can get them. So let's get started. Our first color we're looking at is white, and there are two ways to get white: Lily of the Valley and bone meal. If you take Lily of the Valley, and you don't actually need a crafting table because you can just do it right in your own crafting spot, and you can get white dye from that, or from bone meal. Both give you white dye. Our next color is orange, and you can get that with an orange tulip, orange dye, or you can mix colors. So in this case, red and yellow will also make orange, and because you're using two dyes, you get two dyes. And it would be amiss of me not to mention you can also potentially get orange from a wandering trader. Our next color is blue, and you can get blue from a cornflower, blue dye, or you can get it from lapis, the stuff you mine. Also gives you blue dye. Our next color is light blue. And to get white blue, you can use blue orchids. Gives you light blue dye. Or you can mix colors. Blue and white, of course, will give you light blue. And because you're using two dyes, you get two dyes. And you may get it from a wandering trader. Our next color is green. And to get green, you need a cactus. But you don't throw a cactus in your crafting. You have to go over to a furnace, and you actually have to smelt the cactus. So it's gooey, ooey, and runny. And when you do that, you get green dye. Now, green dye can also be found in some chests in desert houses, or possibly the wandering trader. Our next color is lime, or some like to just call it light green. And how you get lime is a sea pickle, which you can find in tropical oceans. Now, the sea pickle, again, is not one of these that you can just put into the crafting table, but you have to bring it over to the furnace and smelt it into ooey gooey mush. And when you do, it turns into lime dye. And just like we see here, you can also mix color in order to get lime dye. And you need green and white together to get lime dye. And of course, because you use two, you get two. And, of course, you might get it through the wandering trader. Our next color is pink. And you can see the two tall peony there. You can get pink from peonies, or pink tulips, or mixing colors. So when you grab your peony and put it in, there you go, pink dye. And you get two pink dye because it's too high. And like I said, you can also get the pink tulip. Pink tulip gives you pink dye. And last but not least, you can also mix colors. You can put in a red and a white dye, and you get pink dye. And of course, like I said, you use 2 dye, you get 2 dye. And I can't forget, of course, you could potentially get this from the Wandering Trader. Our next color is black. And where can you get black? From squids. Because when you kill a squid, you get an ink sac. Luckily, there are squids everywhere, in oceans, even rivers. They're all over the place. So ink sac is a good place to get your black. And when you put your ink sac in, you get your black dye. Now there is one other place you can get black ink, and that is a wither rose. Now because I do everything in survival, I have not come across a wither rose, and so I can't show you. However, a wither rose does give you black dye if you put it in the crafting table. But needless to say, a wither rose for most people is not going to be your go-to for black dye. It's going to be your ink sac. Our next color is yellow. And you can get yellow from sunflowers or dandelions. And when you throw in a sunflower, that's right, you get 2 yellow dye because it's 2 blocks high. And when you grab your dandelion, that also gives you yellow dye. And you can also potentially find it in a mason's chest in a village. Our next color is red, and you can tell the big tall roses are in the way here, but red is our next color. And Ermagerd, you can get red from all over the place. So you can get it from roses, you can get it from poppies, you can get it from red tulips, you can get it from beets. And of course, when you get your roses, you get 2 red dye because it's 2 blocks high. And your poppy, there you go, also red dye. Your red tulip, also red dye. And I know they're delicious, but your beetroots, also red dye. And believe it or not, you can get red dye from a Wandering Trader. Our next color is magenta. And you can see, again, a 2-tall lilac gives you magenta. Also, an allium. And of course, you can mix color. So let's take a look as we get the lilac. And it gives you 2 magenta dye because it's 2 blocks high. And the allium, throw her in, there's our magenta dye. And you can mix 2 colors, guess what? Pink and purple will also give you magenta dye. However, to get purple, the last 3 here are what we call secondary dyes. And you can't make them just using something. You must mix colors. So using purple to get your magenta is, well, it's an extra step that you don't really need. So if you can find yourself a lilac or allium, you'll save yourself some extra hassle. And of course, magenta can also be found with a Wandering Trader. Our next color is brown. And in order to get brown, that's right, buddy, you need cocoa beans. And those, of course, can be found in the jungle. And when you put cocoa beans in your crafting, you get brown dye. And luckily, that's not the only place, because you can also get it through a Wandering Trader. Our next color is light gray. And strangely enough, you need all the white flowers. You know, when you're first going out looking for white, you think, ooh, white tulip. Yeah, definitely. Oh, this guy's white. Oh, this guy's white. But no, all these, the oxy daisy, the white tulip, and the azure bluet. You know, he probably made a mistake one day and he got the nickname Azure Bluet. Yeah, poor guy has to live with it the rest of his life. Okay, so anyways, we have the oxy daisy. You put that in and you get light gray. The white tulip. Put that in, you get light gray. And of course, we'll call you Azure. Light gray. And just like we see here, you can also mix colors. And the colors you're mixing are gray and white. Crazy, eh? Gray, white gives you light gray. And because you're using two dyes, you get two dyes. And believe it or not, you can potentially get light gray from a wandering trader. And now we enter our secondary dyes. And the first of the secondary dyes is gray. And like I said, you can only get these colors by mixing. So let's take a look. What do we need? Well, you need black dye and white dye. We'll give you 2 gray dye, 2 for 2. And only in Bedrock, the wandering trader might also help you out. I think we made him angry in Java and he just refuses to do gray now. And our next color is the secondary dye, the elusive cyan. And as I said, you can only get these last 3 through mixing. So what are we mixing? If you take a blue dye and a green dye, you'll get cyan dye. And of course, 2 for 2. And if you're really lucky, a wandering trader will also be an option. And the very last dye, but certainly not the least, we've got purple. And purple is also, like I said, one of the secondary dyes, so we can only mix colors to get it. And today we need to mix blue dye and red dye. We'll give you purple dye. And of course, 2 for 2. And there's your purple dye. And our wandering trader friend does not let us down on our last dye. You can also get it from him. And one last thing I want to let you know about. We have 4 too tall flowers here. We've got sunflowers, roses, peonies, and lilacs. So we're talking yellow dye, red dye, pink dye, and magenta. If you need a lot of any of these dyes, well, you are set. Because anytime you bone meal a too tall flower like this, you get a duplicate. Doesn't matter which one. Look at that. As much as you want, you get it again. Any too tall plant. So if you look now, I've got 4 sunflowers. That will give you 8 yellow dye, 6 rose bushes, or I'm getting ahead of myself here. 3 rose bushes, which will give you 6 red dye, 3 lilacs, which will give you 6 red dye, or no, it won't. It'll give you 6 magenta dye, or you've got 2 peonies in this case, which will give you 4 pink dye. And you can do it all you want and look at them all. They just pop right out and give you tons and tons. You literally have an endless supply of these 4 dyes if you can just get one of these flowers and bone meal it to death. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got lots of information out of this. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Well, maybe not that soon, but soon. Bye for now.